movie junkies, welcome back to Twin Flicks, where we here celebrating the magic of movies and physical media with you. Now, every once in a while, there are a string of movies that come out dealing with the same plot. I mean, who can forget the string of body-swapping movies in the late 80s? Or in the late 90s, the two movies about an asteroid hitting Earth. But in 1989, there were 3 movies in a row with the same type of plot revolving around underwater aliens. In March, we had Leviathan, starring RoboCop himself. Then in August, James Cameron unleashed the abyss onto the world. But the one that started it all, the one that was first released, was Sean S. Cunningham's Deepstar 6 that came out in January of 1989. And it was also directed by an iconic indie or horror director. The film really feels like a Roger Corman film, even though Roger Corman had nothing to do with it. It just has that ultra low budget sci-fi 80s flair to it that I've always been a big fan of. Well, in 2020, Kino Lorber released Deepstar 6 on this Blu-ray here that was an HD upscale from Studio Canal. And at the time, I honestly gave this Blu-ray high praise. Outside of a few issues that it had that I'll talk more about in my review, I overall didn't see anything outstandishly wrong with it. In fact, in my review at the time, I said I don't think this little indie 80s sci-fi horror movie could look any better than it does here with this Blu-ray. Well, 5 years have passed and Studio Canal decided to give Deepstar 6 another go-around, this time doing it right by scanning the film in 4K from the original 35mm negative, forming a 4K DI with HDR and Dolby Vision grading. The 4K disc also includes a remastered Blu-ray that is sourced from the same 4K scan as the UHD disc. And it also includes a new 2026 audio commentary track from James G. Chandler and Ash Hamilton from the HorrorEffects.com podcast. And it also includes 2 archival commentary tracks poured over from the Blu-ray, one from Sean S. Cunningham and the second from actor and writers Louis Bernarthi and Jeff Miller. And always my favorite to include on a disc is an isolated score and interview from composer Henry Manfredini. So now, like I said, I always thought this Blu-ray looked great, and I'm honestly not sure how much improvement can really be made with this 4K. But we're here to find out. So let's take a closer look at Deepstar 6 of 4K UHD against a previous released Blu-ray. This is a very impressive 4K UHD presentation, and the very first thing I noticed right away was the cleanup job on this 4K scan. The Blu-ray just had a very dirty looking image to it. Now with this 4K, it has cleaned all this up, along with getting rid of those awful heavy uses of edge enhancements. Instead, now what we have here on this 4K are only inherited anomalies from the negative intact. The higher 2160p resolution really works its magic here with more finer lines within the image, giving the film a clearer and as razor sharp as it can be imagery, where finer details and textures are much more tangible here and active, including backgrounds even within close-up shots. The crisper, refreshed image helps tremendously with all those hazy underwater shots, to the point we can even make out the smallest detail with the submersibles, along with rocks and even bubbles on the sides of the frame that I didn't notice before on the Blu-ray. A great example is when the sub travels through the cave. We are now making out all the designs within the different rocks, including cracks and lines and imperfections, and also the floor of the cave. It's just areas I never noticed before on the Blu-ray or any home video release for that matter. But the real treat here in the highlight of this 4K is the creature. An example here is after the first attack where the creature bites the diver and his suit in half. We can clearly see all the chunks, bits of flesh, and drips of gore hanging from the suit. And the close-ups of the creature, such as its mouth, looks clearer and sharper now, along with the texture of the skin and the finer details of the creature effects revealing its scales, skin texture, its eyes and fins, and it's all right here on full display with this 4K. There's also now a real sense of depth and three-dimensionality that was severely lacking on the Blu-ray. Here with this 4K, with the extra added depth, it works wonders with the more cramped locations that looks tighter and stronger, bringing some real tangibility to the image now. Now, one area of this 4K that I was very happy with was the matte lines. On the Blu-ray, since the exposure was amped up, all the matte lines around the submersibles and even in the headquarters really stood out like a sore thumb. Now here with this 4K, the matte lines, while they're still visible, they are much more subtle now. The color grading on this 4K looks outstanding, with the HDR10 Dolby Vision grading really opening up the color gamut much wider now, giving us cleaner and more vivid primaries. But the HDR10 grading and Dolby Vision grading is also used to give subtle improvements that really helps in bringing out much healthier, richer looking colors. Such as there are some shots of the ocean that looks almost grayish on the Blu-ray. Now with this 4K, the ocean now looks how it should with nice bright deep blues, along with striking blue skyline at the ending of the film, and also with a stronger blue haze around the headquarters under the water. It just looks much more appropriately displayed now than it did on the Blu-ray. The saturation is used just enough to help balance out the colors to maintain a natural lifelike appearance while also giving off some strong vibrant colors that has some nice pop to it. Also, the saturation helps with skin tones looking healthier and warmer than it does on the Blu-ray, without the saturation ever looking too hot or artificially applied. Now the black levels are noticeably better here and impressive over the Blu-ray that had many areas of bright or slightly grayish blacks. Here with the 4K, the black levels go deep, inky, even pitch black at times. This is a big improvement, especially with all the underwater scenes that draws out more finer details and also extra depth within the image, giving a very nice cinematic appearance, and there's clear visibility throughout. The bitrate ranges between the mid-60s, and I saw it top out in the high 80s in BPS, and the 4K is on a 100 gigabyte disc. Now the Blu-ray also had problems with the grain structure that had a lot of grain reduction with some heavy DNR scrubbing that gave a very flat and waxy looking image with skin textures, especially with close-ups. The 4K now retains the grain field from the negative. 4K has a very pleasing fine level of natural 35mm grain field, giving a nice filmic appearance that we all love to see. Alright guys, now let's dive into the audio presentation of Deepstar 6 on 4K, and it does include two audio tracks, a DTS 5.1 mix and a DTS stereo mix. Both sound great, but it's really the 5.1 mix that packs a nice punch to it. I was impressed with the high level of immersion, and while much of the movie is front end heavy, there is some really nice activity within the surround channels when used, from the monster attacks to the underwater scenes, the infamous decompression scene. Dialogue is also clean and clear without any kind of issues, and sound effects nor music ever drown out any part of the dialogue. Deepstar 6 from Kino Lorber is an impressive 4K UHD presentation that I wouldn't say crushes or wipes out the Blu-ray, because this Blu-ray is still good, but the 4K is definitely a nice improvement over the Blu-ray, and if you have a 4K setup, it's worth upgrading to. But now head over to the comment section and let me know, when you take a look at the different formats here, the previous release Blu-ray and this new 4K UHD, which do you think looks better? Or do you see much difference at all? Head over to the comment section and let me know. As always, guys, thanks so much for hanging out with me for a few minutes here as we talk about Deepstar 6 on 4K UHD and compare it to the previously released Blu-ray from Kino Lorber. As always, guys, keep physical media alive, and we'll see you next time with another 4K versus Blu-ray comparison.
Twin Flicks presents 4K versus Blu-ray comparison.